What is up, everybody? Toy Optics here, coming to you deep from down within the Sarlacc pit. And today we are bringing you a figure I have been waiting nearly a year and a half for, the Aton Toys Yeah Man.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
So with that, let's get into it. Okay, what we are looking at here is the Yeah Man 1/2 Aton 006 version A. And if we haven't already guessed, it is our friend John Wick.
Hello, Francis. Mr. Wick.
This being a version A also means that yes, there is a version B. Version B simply is a different body that has a three-piece suit instead of this two-piece suit with a simple dress shirt and tie. I went with version A because I felt that this was the best representation of John Wick in a broader sense. Both versions of Yeah Man from Aton Toys are meant to come from John Wick 4 Parabellum, as denoted by the slightly longer haircut and the missing ring finger that he cut off at the end of John Wick 3 to pledge his fealty to the High Table. Lots of companies have taken a stab at making a John Wick, from Mezco to Diamond Select to SH Figuarts, and even other third-party companies such as Man Nipple. Haha, Man Nipple. The reason I went with this version and waited so long for it is simply seen right here in the face sculpt. I don't know if it's because of rights issues or if Keanu just has a difficult likeness to capture, but these guys nailed it. It is a dead ringer. I will be the first to admit that I do not have a ton of knowledge when it comes to third-party figures, so I'm not 100% sure where the buck for the body came from. I'm assuming that it is an in-house Aton-made blank, but I do know that other manufacturers use several different bucks from several different makers. Getting into the soft goods, John was wearing his trademark suit, dress shirt, tie, belt with some tactical features on it, gun holster, magazine holders, nice little spiffy dress shoes, dress socks. It is a very slim-fitting and well-tailored suit, as we all know he loves to wear. And while it makes a great looking figure, it does sometimes hinder the articulation. As we get into that, because of the tightness of the suit, sometimes we have to work or be very careful to get his arm up, and it doesn't really go past 90. This could be good or bad depending how you plan on using him or posing him. It does easily come up at the side, but we do have the same hindrance coming from the back. And then his dress shirt being so tight and form-fitting around his waist, he does have butterfly joints. And when we open his chest up wide, we do get a little bit of pulling and opening of his dress shirt. He does have double-jointed elbows, and those do come up very easily, as well as double-jointed knees, which again, he also has no problem with bending. His legs move much easier in the pantsuit. He can kick up a little past 90, comes up to the side about there, and then does not go back very far because of where his butt piece is. He does have an ab crunch, and it's pretty good, coming forward, going back. His head is one piece with the neck, so everything moves up and down and side to side in unison. The articulation piece is in the neck part of the body itself, and then for his feet, they do have a nice bit of rocker movement coming down, a little bit going forward. Everything moves side to side. He does have some pivot in his leg, and he does have a bicep pivot underneath. And then coming for this, it's kind of your standard ball joint with peg, kind of like you would see on a Mezco or an SH Figuarts, where everything can kind of shift around. These joints are very tight on the hands, I've noticed, especially mine on the right hand. It's a little bit harder to get the whole ball joint piece to move around. So you kind of have to pre-pose very carefully. One thing to note with this figure, especially because Aton definitely markets it and says right on the box, this is a handmade toy. Some of you may have issues with a little bit of tightness when it comes to the interchangeable hands, and he does come with quite a few sets. So my suggestion is use a hair dryer or use a little bit of hot water, warm this up so that it'll easily pop off the peg, and then before you put on the next hand, warm this part up, the peg hole, with the hair dryer, and then pop it on. I would hate for anybody to break the small little peg right in here and then ruin such a nice and quite costly figure. For accessories, Mr. Wick comes jam-packed with a massive arsenal. We have his automatic shotgun from John Wick 4, comes with 2 magazines that fire those amazingly explosive Dragon's Breath rounds, as you can recreate right here with the blast effects. And this longer piece comes out and separates from that piece, so it's actually a 3-piece blast effect. We have the dueling pistol that we saw at the end of John Wick 4, which opens so that you can insert the bullet and then lock and load. We have one smaller pistol, complete with a removable mag and nice painted detail, even on that tiny little bullet. Also comes with a spare mag and one slightly larger pistol, also with a removable mag that I just flung across the kitchen, but that's okay because here's a backup. Also, look at that, just really great painted detail. And then this one actually chambers, has that nice brass detail on the inside. It comes with this sort of homemade taped together shotgun. I'm not sure I remember this from the movie, so maybe it was just a weird thing that they threw in. If I'm wrong, correct me in the comments. We've got a katana blade as we see him fighting at the Continental Osaka at the beginning of the movie, along with some nunchucks with a real chain. We get an axe, which I think is from John Wick 3, but it seems like they did just throw in a couple arbitrary weapons or accessories. I'm not complaining because you can always find a use for them, especially with photography. Coming back to the pistol real quick, I believe we have a suppressor that just tabs right into the front, should you want that. We have a glass of wine or cognac or whatever you have there. This seems a little odd since Mr. Wick is a bourbon drinker, although I know he does do some vodka in John Wick 4. Where would Mr. Wick be without his trusty dog, which I feel again was just another accessory they kind of threw in. We get 2 pair of sunglasses that I'm not even going to put on because I don't remember John Wick, A, wearing sunglasses, and B, these make him look a little too much like Neo. We have an alternate head sculpt with the hair being a little more disheveled, and it also has a nice sort of wet look to it, like he's been sweating, running around and fighting, whereas getting into here real quick, this head sculpt has a more matte finish, much more kind of dry and calm, not running around and getting into fights as much, John Wick. One of my favorite things about these third parties. I love it on the Muff Toys top agent, James Bond, as well. They just, the face painting helps the lifelike appearance so much. And then it's just the little details. I mean, the way that they got the beard painted on in here just looks phenomenal. But it's the eyes. Everything is matte, and then you just have this glossy, wet look to the eyes. And when lighting or doing photography or even doing cinematography, being able to get a little eye light in there and just kind of get that glint in the eyes, like even in this one with the hair covering his face, just adds a sense of life to the toy, to a photo. to a movie. Coming back to the accessories, we have a couple of muzzle effects, muzzle flashes, a little smoke effect for a smoking barrel, a bullet flying out of the chamber effect, a fun one that you can use. We'll just throw it on John right here. Probably try to figure out how to hide that, but sort of a blood hit that he got shot. And then this is a neat one. You have these two bullet hits with these little magnets on the back. You get two of them. And that is so that we can recreate the effect from the John Wick lore of the bulletproof suit. And I thought that that was a pretty cool little add-on in there. So you get two of those. The magnets are directional. And then last, as I said, he comes with quite a few pair of hands. Before I forget, he does come with his watch that he wears in the typical Keanu upside down fashion. That is an accessory that does come off. And then we can get into his hands. So as I pointed out before, we have a lot of hands. His left hand is missing his ring finger. This one is a more grabbing, holding hand, so you can put a lot of the weapons in there, the axe, the nunchuck, the katana. Then we have a more relaxed hand. And once again, before you try and pop these off, heat. I can't stress it enough. Heat the hands up first. And then when you want to put the next hand on, heat these up at the peg hole and pop them on. We got a set of sort of grabbing hands, outreached hands. We have another grabbing hand for his left. We have some fists, because we know he likes to punch things. Dueling trigger fingers, because he loves his weapons. A set of slightly looser grabbing hands, also for the katana or the axe or the nunchucks, just a little more posing to them. Another more relaxed hand for his left hand. One of my favorites, the bloodied stump middle finger. As I mentioned before, his belt has two slots to put extra magazines, and they just sort of rest right in there. And then it has a holster for the larger pistol. And you can see right here, there's just a little bit of a lip where the trigger guard goes right in there. And then you just push the gun in and it just sort of locks in with pressure. So it does enough to get the job done for posing, but you can see that it is kind of loose in there. So it doesn't necessarily fall out, even though the magazine just fell out. But I would be careful with that. Swapping the head out is very easy. You just simply pull out the old one. You can see that the post is right there, and then that's where all the articulation is and the movement. And you take the new head and you just stick it right on. And here is your disheveled John. For a quick height comparison, here we have our John Wick next to the Muff Toys Top Agent, Marvel Legends Deadpool, Mezco Storm Shadow, and our G.I. Joe Classified Retro Trooper. Size-wise, he is a little tall, and I'm not sure what Keanu's height is in real life, but John Wick seems like he's a bit of a taller guy, so I think this scales pretty well. So there you have it. This has been my look at the 1/2 Yeah Man Aton 006 John action figure. This is a great figure. It does have some drawbacks in the slimness of the suit and the dress shirt and how it can hinder some articulation, which I feel could have been alleviated by using a stretchier fabric. But overall, this was completely worth it just for the dead-on likeness to Keanu, and I highly recommend it to anybody who is in the market for a John Wick action figure. Thank you for watching my overview, and as always, if you like this, please comment and subscribe. Take care.